Good afternoon and welcome to ESPON EGTC. ESPON is a territorial cooperation program that contributes to building up the capacities of policymakers in delivering more efficient policies and also increasing the quality of governance that nowadays, of course, becomes increasingly important to make sure that we deliver efficient policies on the ground. In the current framework, of the current program, ESPON has already managed to engage with more than 100 stakeholders representing European, national, regional and local level, and ESPON is supporting them at all stages of policy process, from problem framing through design and also implementation and also at monitoring and evaluation stage, and we support them with territorial evidence that is specifically tailored to their needs and also provides timely policy advice to deal with territorial development challenges. And at the same time, in the context of the discussion on the future of cohesion policy, ESPON advocates for a stronger place-based approach to make cohesion policy closer to its citizens. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ivana. Commissioner, may we kindly invite you to share your views about the role of evidence-based policymaking and ESPON?
Thank you very much. First of all, I would like to say that I'm very happy to be again in Luxembourg, and I took the opportunity of having this General Affairs Council on cohesion policy to add this visit. Of course, I heard about ESPON for a long time, and I would like to congratulate you for what you have done here and for the discussion we also had with you, Mr. State Secretary. So I think it's very important. What I value in particular here in ESPON is the ability to support such a broad range of different policy makers, be it local, regional, national, or European level. I think it's very important, and as I've learned in this hour, that ESPON is accompanying the beneficiaries from the designing to the implementing in all stages of processes. And I think administrative capacity is very important, sometimes much more important than money itself. So it's a very important added value what ESPON is doing. Also, we are working with ESPON on the post-2020 debate and planning. That was the subject of our debate in the Council today. And many of the principles of ESPON resonate very well with what we are thinking in the Commission, in the DG Regional and Urban Policy Directorate, to which I lead. So this place-based approach, important of the tailor-made projects are very important for us, and also the cooperation beyond administrative borders. In the end, I would like to say that I really appreciate this ability to put together researchers, scientists, with policy makers, being them presidents of the regions, ministries, mayors, and to facilitate the exchange by translating the sometimes very complex regulation or scientific evidence in very practical terms, more digestible, to say, for policymakers. Thank you once again, and I wish you good luck. And also, as I said, I think Luxembourg is a very good example that of the added value of cohesion policy. It's a rich country with not a very big allocation, but the wonderful things that you have done, I think, are an example for the whole Europe. Thank you very much once again.
Thank you very much indeed, Mr. Gira. We heard what ESPON does. What makes ESPON so successful? Can you share your thoughts and views?
But first of all, as head of managing authority for the ESPON program, very happy that Commissioner Creţu took her time and visit this important institution. It's not far away from us, so it's very easy for us to manage it. But as you have heard, it's a program run by 28 European countries and 4 associates. And for me, what is very important with ESPON is, especially in times we have more and more fake news, it becomes more and more evident that politics are based on facts and figures, and even based on maps. And while coming in, you have seen that out of the facts and figures, ESPON is capable, just in one side, to show you quite differences all over Europe, being in the social fields, be it in environment fields, be it fields of employment, of investment. And sometimes you have some strange feeling as a politician when you look at this. I saw, for example, a map where the neighboring region, the Eifel in Germany, has less unemployment than Luxembourg. If you had asked me as a politician, tell me where unemployment is higher, in Luxembourg or in the German Eifel, I would have said, of course, in the German Eifel. And I thought from a map in one side that it is not the case. So this is an appeal to more and more politicians. Base your politics on facts and figures, and base it on maps. And maps are very easy to show to your citizens to explain what you have been doing and what you want to do. And having been in Brussels on several roundtables when it came to cohesion policy after 2020, I saw that ESPON, the work of ESPON is not known enough. So we took this occasion of having the Commissioner here to make more communication about ESPON and what ESPON is doing, and that politicians at all levels, be it at the local, be it at the regional, or be it at national level, should take a sax to ESPON and give them some jobs to do to make a better planning and also to make a better evaluation of their politics on every level. So this is one of our points we want to improve in the future, a better communication that even more regions and more people can have a benefit from what ESPON is doing. So I want to take the occasion and address a great thanks to the director and all the staff. And this is Living Europe, 28 collaborators coming from more than 15 different European countries. So there's a lot of different cultural background. And so if Europe is living, it is especially living here inside ESPON. Thank you for coming.
Thank you very much indeed. Now we are ready to take your questions. Just to remind you about the routine.
Maybe you should tell me if I don't understand the question you just write me.
To whom the question is addressed. The floor is yours. We'll use the microphone so as to allow our online viewers to follow the questions.
Hi, my name is Nikos. Do you hear me? My name is Nikos Lampropoulos. I am from Euractiv.com and from Euractiv Greece. Thank you very much for this presentation. But we would like to hear a bit more about the future, because there was a council today. I know that you had a press conference before, but still, if you could give us some update about the situation, and especially on what it concerns the programs of territorial cooperation. Thank you very much.
Efharistopoli. Thank you very much. So, as I said, today it was a council. I think it was a crucial council because it's the last council before the 2nd of May, when the Commission will submit the draft proposal for the next post-2020 multi-annual financial framework. So I am very happy to see that from the exchange of views, almost all the member states are in favor of the scenario 1 presented by the European Commission, that the European cohesion policy should remain a policy for all the regions, but for this, of course, we need some fresh money. Usually, the discussion about multi-annual financial framework are very emotionally, but this time it's not business as usual, because we have Brexit. Of course, we will have a gap, and we have to appeal to the member states to see their willingness to fill the gap with some fresh money. So I was very happy to see that most of the countries are already showed during the last European Council the willingness to participate and to contribute more to the EU budget, because clearly in order to be cohesion policy for all the regions, we have to have a very mature and substantial budget. We have to continue the policies that we have, cohesion policy and agriculture, that are so important for countries. We must continue to support small and medium-sized enterprises, innovation, social inclusions, climate change mitigation, sustainable energy, transport, health, digital infrastructure. We must help regions to cope with the impact of globalization, but we also have new priorities. So we have a refugee crisis, migration, integration of migrants, cross-border cooperation and defense, and other things on which European Commission had until now any attribution. So we are still discussing how will be introduce these new priorities, and of course we need also to put a bit of order, and we are in the process now ongoing inside the Commission to put an order in our instruments to avoid overlaps, to enhance our own resources. But it's clearly that we cannot do everything that we want to do with less budgets that we have. So our ambition is to, you know that now the EU budget is 1% of the 28 GNI from the 28 countries. So I hope at the end of the negotiation, European Council and European Parliament as co-legislator will agree for a EU budget with 1% from 27 countries, because unfortunately we have the UK who decided to leave. We regret that, but we have to respect, and we have to go ahead in the new structure, 27 countries for development, and I really think it was a very important debate today. We also spoke about indicators, about allocations, because, as I said, we need to go beyond GDP per capita, which alone is not enough to decide the allocation. We have also rich countries, rich regions, for instance, Wallonia, which pockets of poverty with unemployment, as you said, in Luxembourg. So we have to combine GDP per capita with, and we are working on that with other institutions, inter-services, to introduce some other indicators like demographic changes, migration, poverty, unemployment, in order indicators that are needed and they are linked to the quality of life. I don't know if you are. I was long, but I don't know if I was exactly what you wanted to. On Greece, we remain.
For Greece, I will ask again, but no, I wanted to stay a bit on the council and ask one more thing. If you because you said about 1% from 27 countries, but if I remember right, Commissioner for budget had a bigger ambition about this, so 1.2, 1.3 of GDP. So, do you think there is a possibility that we will reach this number?
Yes, Commissioner Oettinger, I hope for 1%, because it's a negotiation, but of course we have to start from high. Commissioner Oettinger and President Jean-Claude Juncker and the Commission itself, it's saying about 1.1x. So let's see how much. European Parliament is saying 1.3, but then we will give the proposal to the European Parliament and mostly to the Council, and this will be in the hands of Chief of States and Prime Ministers who are representing the Member States in the Council to set the ambition. In my personal view, we should go from the needs of the countries and then to set the ambition, not to give up from the very beginning that we have to do more with less, but the discussion is still ongoing. As I said, 2nd of May is we will submit the draft proposal to the European Parliament and the Council. Then on the 29th of May, we'll submit the regulations, the new legislation. Here it's also ongoing debate. I am in favor of, for instance, for the radical simplification and the single set of rules for the funds to make the life of beneficiaries much more easier. But we'll have to see how far we can go in our negotiation. And the calendar is also very important. I hope that the negotiation on the next budget will end before the European election, during the Romanian presidency, because it's very important to start the implementation of the program from the 1st of January 2021. We have to learn from the lessons of the past, where we had so many delays because of the late adoption of legislation. Then we had the partnership agreement, ex-ante conditionalities. So in fact, the implementation for 2014-2020 programming period started in 2017. So according with our estimation, if we don't have an agreement on the next EU budget in early 2019, more than 100,000 projects are in danger to not be finished with European money. So I think it's very important for member states to know 100,000 projects.
Thank you very much, Commissioner, for the insights. Any other questions? We still have time to take one or two more questions, not necessarily process or finance related.
My name is Monica Camposeo. I'm here with RTL TV, and you mentioned the refugee crisis. So my question would be, are you also planning eventually on giving less financial help to some countries that do not really help in solving the refugee crisis?
For me, I think solidarity should be both ways. As I saw after the first meeting of the European Council, where the MFF was discussed, I saw the position of the Chancellor Merkel, who came with this proposal of not punishment, but the incentive for the regions who are and countries who are taking refugees. So I really think that we have to help in integration of migrants. We are doing now this, but we can do better. We have first AMIF, this is a fund under my colleague Avramopoulos, and then it comes cohesion policy, ERDF for the infrastructure, and then social funds for, and I visited a lot of good projects starting from islands in Greece, Berlin, Molenbeek, Brussels, so a combination of funds that helping in the integration of migrants, which will be our responsibility under cohesion policy, integration of migrants, because the AMIF is just for urgency needs when the refugees arrived. So now, as I said, the discussion is ongoing. The first proposal, it was to punish. Now we talk about incentives in order to give much more, to take into account on the allocation these new challenges which some countries has. So anyhow, migration, it's migration and the rule of law, it's on the table. We just have had an exchange of view today, and most of the countries are in favor of helping more the countries that are exposed to this challenge.
Thank you very much, Commissioner. One last question. We still have time to take one. Yes. Okay. A wrap-up question.
Thank you. Yes.
Hopefully,
It's an interview.
I want to focus a bit more on the territorial cooperation, because it's you said in Brussels some weeks ago that you're working on redesigning all the programs, and probably there will be some mergers because you said that they were too fragmented. So I would like to know if you can give us some more concrete ideas, mainly about if this merge means also that the budgets will be merged as well, or we will keep the budgets that we have so far in these areas, and the overall budget for territorial cooperation. And what is ESPON's proposals on this, if we can have also your views about the future of territorial cooperation. Thank you.
Yeah.
This for me is for ESPON. So for me, territorial cooperation and geography is very important. I said that I am very fond of cross-border cooperation, and I am very grateful to the Luxembourgish presidency that they put on the table very high on their agenda during the presidency this idea, and then we came with a communication in 2017 about growth on the cross-border cooperation, and now we are working. We are going deeply on seeking how we can translate this into practice. For instance, we would like to introduce in the regulation the possibility for 2 member states to choose a legislation for one from one member state. Maybe Mr. Secretary of State could explain you more, because in fact during the Luxembourgish presidency it was a wake-up call for me when Mr. Minister explained the obstacles that we have in cross-border cooperation. So, for instance, it's much easier to make projects between Germany and Poland than between Belgium and France. Although they have the same languages, they have different legislation. So we would like to make in a regulation on the voluntary basis the possibility to use the legislation from one country when it comes to cross-border cooperation. Cross-border areas are places when more than 1/3 of the population are living, and I really think that we should keep this, if not to increase. You know very well we have this peace program, for instance, which is the perfect example that Brussels came with this idea to put together Northern Ireland with Ireland, and the Prime Minister of the UK would like to continue this cross-border cooperation. We also have this, you know that I am coming from a country which until '89 was from the other part of Iron Curtain. So when it's very emotionally, I said to the minister, to the people here, that for me it's very emotionally to visit this kind of projects between, for instance, Slovakia and Austria, or between Germany or Poland, where so many people had died in the search of better life. So we have this also, this quality of cross-border cooperation, not also to enhance growth and jobs, but also to heal some wounds that we still have on the map of Europe. So I rely very much on ESPON. As I said to the ministry and to the director, I think sometimes member states, mayors, they are not are very much aware about the instruments, the tools that they have at their disposal, and ESPON can support and is supporting already territorial cohesion, providing us, the director said, the data and studies to help policymakers. The only thing that if they are aware about that, so we can spread the word also in Greece, in Thessaloniki, everywhere to come in Luxembourg. And or they go to Greece and help for finishing the metro in Thessaloniki, because this is my ambition until the end of the mandate.
Maybe I just can add one word on the instrument the Commissioner has mentioned. While as Luxembourg is so small, we have to deal with our neighbors every day, and we see all the barriers that still exist on national borders, although we have the common market. We have financial barriers. There we have the cohesion funds and Interreg. You have structural barriers, and there we have the EGTC. But what is missing if you have regulatory barriers? And one example which is always quoted is the tram from Strasbourg to Kiel. At the moment, the municipality of Strasbourg decided to have one line of the tram going into Germany over the bridge which crosses the Rhine. Unfortunately, the regulations for trams in Germany are totally different to trams in France. And so it costs a lot of time, a lot of energy, and a lot of money to adapt the trams from the Strasbourg tram going into Germany. If the idea we launched in the presidency in 2015, which we call European Cross-Border Convention, would exist, it could be that the authority responsible for regulating trams in Germany would say, we agree that just for the lane coming from Strasbourg, the regulations are not the German ones which will be applied, but the French ones. You can apply that to a lot of infrastructures, wastewater management, windmills and others. And I must tell you, sometimes people say, if you launch an idea, it takes a lifetime that it comes to the Commission in Brussels. I must say, I'm very happy. After 3 years, we launched this idea. We find it back in the communication, and we are very optimistic that for the next period, people living at borders in Europe can go to their authority and ask, can we use the German regulation for our tram or vice versa? And I think this will really boost collaboration cross borders. And for me, having or living at the Belgian border, if we are not able to show the added value of Europe at borders inside Europe, where can we show the added value of Europe? So we hope that this will boost collaboration in the next period, starting in 2021.
Yes, and to add one message from the side of ESPON, Well, what we observe is that nowadays places become increasingly interdependent and interconnected as a result of intensified flows of people, of goods, of services, also of knowledge and of capital. And of course, from that perspective, we see that one single administrative territory nowadays cannot address contemporary challenges sufficiently. And this, of course, entails a much stronger orientation on territorial cooperation in the future. What ESPON advocates for is, besides the need to continue the European territorial cooperation programs in the next round of cohesion policy, we believe that territorial cooperation as joint projects among different places has to be promoted much stronger also in the framework of the mainstream programs. And we very much hope that also in the framework of the future cohesion policy, places will be encouraged also to design joint strategies and also to implement joint investment projects. Thank you.